go, dead spices.
Just the
one. No more dead spices.
The Lord, tasting a chicken.
Kaji, go. But dead spices here what Jenny say. Nanya good taste. If we say yeah the natural spices and I yeah you're gonna hey yao. Annie, you want all purpose stew, noodles, curry and nutmeg and a jollof. Dead spices. Taste yummy, taste lemon. Dead spices. Taste day inside. FDIG a in Kratoya too.
Anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath.
I'm a fat missy way.
Prepare bantama.
Machasi.
It's her smile.
The fresh breath.
Me Gidi say we use Cal 360 toothpaste. Some kind. Cal 360 toothpaste.
Guys here, Cal 360 toothpaste. It's a gum protector. Onim jom kasa. Kile kosen. Cal 360 did the work. It's cool mint. Gives me fresh breath and your confidence booster.
You will see so feeling to when you know Cal 360 toothpaste.
Happy smile.
Cal 360 toothpaste, anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath. Cal, happy smile.
Still asking what luck means? At Luckiest, we believe it's more than just chance. It's joy waiting to happen.
Let's go.
Dial *712#. Now password your tickets not as a group, individual, and as a community. Now participating in the Luckiest from the 1st of July 2024. Grand draw near 30th November 2024. Luck is everywhere with the Luckiest. The Luckiest is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform and is not for persons below 18 years. Terms and conditions apply.
until we are filled and we are so in the latter rain.
We are filled and we are soaked in the latter rain. What a Tuesday to have. Good evening. Welcome to the show. Good evening, Manasseh, Azuri. Thank you very much for your work. And would like to show that we support the work of journalists. So how many copies of the book did we buy? Manasseh, come and autograph it for us. So please call my producer and tell him that you want to autograph. You remember you wrote something about sending books to Napo and he acknowledged. Please, we have spent money to buy your book. Come and autograph one for us, right? From the author to Good Evening Ghana. Do what you want to do with it, but thank you for buying. Come and autograph it, or tell Suleiman Brahma to come and do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not many media houses will buy 4 or 5 of your books. We bought 5. Good evening, viewers. Good evening. Good evening. Manasseh Azuri, our good friend, has written a book. We bought 5 of it. We've just started reading it. We've captured some things. We have a lot to say about it tonight, and so we'll deal with it. But the effort in writing a book must always be commended, and we will not shy away from doing so. Azuri, congratulations for writing yet another book. He's a prolific writer, isn't he? He's written yet another book. We'll talk a lot about it. He talks about Akufo-Addo and says that the president that Ghana never got. Good title as well. Okay, let's begin tonight, though, with what is happening, what happened yesterday. Big event, innovative event, the Youth Manifesto launched by the National Democratic Congress under the leadership of John Dramani Mahama. Congratulations to all the folks who made it happen. I can easily, off the top of my head, think that it was Sami Jemfi, Pablo, George Opareado, who else? Stanislav Dogbe, who else? Felix Ofosu Kwache, who else? Shamima Muslim, yes, very much so. She was fully on the cards yesterday. She was in the red corner, wasn't she? And all the youth people surrounding President Mahama who put this together, I think that it was a good effort. Now, the big story coming out of President Mahama's Youth Manifesto is that there will be no academic fees for level 100 entrance to tertiary schools. What is the philosophy behind it? What is the point? What's the concept behind it? Here's a government that said they don't want to do free SHS. Here's a government that said that if they have 2 billion, they're not going to spend it on free SHS. Here's a government that said that they're not going to make education free in any circumstances because they are fixated on building infrastructure. Do the university have sufficient infrastructure so that we are now making fees free at tertiary level? This was President Mahama speaking ahead of 2020 elections that he was not going to implement free SHS on the whimsical, desperate promise, the whimsical promise of a desperate politician. Now this is happening. If there's a change in order, they should tell us. Are they going to come for an interview here so we can confront them with this reality that, hey, NDC, this is the situation. It's not that people don't believe it or people don't like it. The context within which you put the thing must reflect your history, your past, because you have been in government before. There were level 100 students. You didn't give them free. You've been in government for 2 terms. There were level 100 students then. You didn't give them anything free. Now, you say you don't like the education promises, but because you see that the free SHS, which was promised and it was not believed and which has been implemented, is the biggest driver again in this campaign, you want to participate in. Initially, you started by saying that free SHS is yours. That didn't work. Now you say you will give tertiary people level 100 free. But why? What is the philosophy behind it? You said, and this is your history, you see, in this election, a lot is about history because our candidates have been with us before. They are not people we don't know, either in this capacity or that capacity. And when I come talk about Manasseh's book, there's a lot to say about that. And that's on the second paragraph of tonight's show. So listen to President Mahama, who said that he is not going to implement free SHS on the whimsical promise of a desperate politician. Have a look.
Saying that Ghana must not introduce free SHS on the whimsical promise of a desperate politician. Many mistakes have been made by countries in Africa already with free SHS, saying that Ghana must not introduce free SHS on the whimsical promise of a desperate politician. Many mistakes have been made by countries in Africa.
That was President John Dramani Mahama. We are still studying what happened yesterday at the NDC Youth Manifesto, and so tomorrow, Thursday, we'll be here with a full dose of what we think. By that time, we have gotten into it in great detail. Later tonight, we'll bring you back the interview with Koku Anyidoho, and then you can make what you want to make out of it. Okay, yes, get me this. This is something very phenomenal, viewers. I'd like to show this to you, and I'm happy that I didn't forget it. In the production, I was scared that I might forget in the heat of it. This is on social media. You can check it's on Halik Musa's page. Now, this is what he says, and after that, I'll roll it up so you can see the photograph. He says, for several years, I called and labeled the vice president and his government as the most useless government. Criticized them to a point Mr. Mahama called me and thanked me for standing by the NDC. This is very instructive. He goes on, the vice president had all the powers to send people to attack me at my workplace or throw me into cells. Well, the vice president hasn't got power to throw you into cells or attack you. He doesn't have the power to do so. So just learn that we're in a democracy. He has to go to police. You have to be charged for something. So that doesn't happen in a democracy. But let's move on. He didn't do that. Instead, he came to Tamale and called me for dinner through Chairman Samba and Dr. Anta, a great mark of tolerance and a good leadership. Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, I am sorry, he says. I was attacked by the NDC for criticizing Mr. Mahama within the space of 5 minutes. And because of that, I'm not on radio again. Forgive me, sir. Now, this is the gentleman in question. The gentleman in question is the one standing to the right of Dr. Bawumia. There's a lady here, and then there's Dr. Bawumia in the middle, and then there's Mohamed Amin Anta, the finance minister who also arranged this meeting. Viewers, when you have these stories, you see, when these stories come out, then you have confidence in Ghana's democracy. You have absolute confidence in Ghana's democracy. Look at this story. This is a gentleman who says that he had been attacking Dr. Bawumia to the point where Dr. Bawumia's opponent, President Mahama, called him to thank him for standing with the NDC. He thought that Dr. Bawumia will use political power against him, but that cannot be done in a democracy. And Dr. Bawumia is not even thinking about that. Dr. Bawumia, however, wants to win minds. He wants to talk to people. He wants people to understand his vision because he's very, very confident about his vision that if he were to engage all the 30 million Ghanaians will vote for him. And that's what the NPP have been saying in their campaign, that looking at Dr. Bawumia on the platform, on the campaign platform, you are confident that all he needs to do is to engage as many people as he can. Because as soon as he engages you, it is impossible for you not to buy into his philosophy. That's a great politician. And that's not even a normal politician. Dr. Bawumia is not a regular politician. We know that he's a banker. And that is why he's brought the to-dos. You know, the bankers have what they call KPIs, key performance indicators. And Dr. Bawumia has brought these things into politics and is telling people that, look at me, this is what I've done. This is what I've done. This is the difficulty we have. We've had this difficulty because of this. And the campaign of the NPP are confident that if Dr. Bawumia were to engage anyone, they will definitely buy into his philosophy. He's a politician with an agenda. He's a politician with a message. And that's what we need. We need all our politicians, whether NDC, MPP, independent candidates. Let us generate and grow politicians who have a message, who have something to do about our society, who have something to do about Ghana. If they have led us before, whether in a capacity as member of parliament, whether as DC, whether as president, vice president, and they're coming back to us for a renewed mandate, we have to take them on their record. If we can build a society like that, our youth will be successful. If we can build our society like that, our young people will have hope. But if we build a society on the other way, where politicians are just talking about other politicians, without telling us that this is their policy, then we're going to be in trouble. And we need to note this down. It's an advice. People may take, people may not take, but that's okay. So here is Dr. Bawumia's record of showing significant tolerance to this young man who came out on social media to put it out and was concerned that the NDC people were attacking him. Mohamed Amin Anta, the very dynamic finance minister, there you see him in the photograph with Alhaji Dr. Bawumia, the vice president and the NPP presidential candidate. When you look at these things, all you can say is that with Dr. Bawumia, there are possibilities. Possibilities exist with Alhaji Mumuni Bawumia. Thank you very much for this one. I wish I could play a song for him, but we don't have much time tonight. Okay, so let's come to our friend, Manasseh Azuri. So Manasseh, he puts up this book in total denigration of Akufo-Addo. Total denigration of Akufo-Addo. That's to be understood, of course. If it wasn't Akufo-Addo, Manasseh would still be working at Joy FM. If it wasn't Akufo-Addo, Manasseh would not have been embarrassed with his documentary on, what do they call it? The militia thing. He wouldn't have been embarrassed with the most embarrassing documentary he did. Akufo-Addo called him out. That cost him his job at Joy FM. And so naturally he has a problem with Akufo-Addo, which is to be understood, no problem. We're in a democracy, everybody can write. But whereas this book is a total denigration of Akufo-Addo, people like Napo have taken stray bullets, haven't they? And I'll come to the Napo issue. Manasseh can say anything he wants about Akufo-Addo, but let me talk to him directly now. Manasseh, My father and your father had many children, okay? My uncles had many children. I'm sure your uncles also had many children. And some of our parents could not even take care of their children. We know how our fathers were. They have many children, they can't take care of their children. If you look at Akufo-Addo and you feel that you have to denigrate him, remember those children in your hometown who have benefited from free SHS. Now, whether you like it or not, whether any Ghanaian likes it or not, free SHS is the most influential social policy intervention in the history of Ghana. Akufo-Addo's free SHS, wherein he committed taxpayers' money to look after young, poor children, like some of our relatives, like some of our fathers' children. Those of our fathers who had children that they knew they can't take care of. Maybe my father was one, maybe your father was one. We can't begrudge them, they are gone, it's fine. But these are fathers who know the work they are doing, either a watchman, whatever you are, and then you go and have 13 children, you know you cannot take care of them. And that has continued, that process has continued. People still do that. You can't begrudge them, you can only advise them. You can't tell them to stop having children. Akufo-Addo recognized the ills of our father. Manasseh, put his photograph there. Akufo-Addo recognized the irresponsibility of my father and your father. The irresponsibility, the gross irresponsibility, Manasseh, of my father and your father. Our fathers were grossly irresponsible, having children when they know they are watchmen and they can't pay for it. My father and your father did that. Both of us, our fathers, did that. Akufo-Addo recognizes that some fathers will be irresponsible, grossly irresponsible to have children that they know they cannot take care of. Now, those children have become Ghanaians. They become property of Ghana. Those children are talented. Look at you, Manasseh. Look at other people. You are talented. Akufo-Addo says that I will not let this talent go to waste. I will educate Ghanaian children. And you, Manasseh, of all people, your relatives have benefited from free SHS. Our fathers were irresponsible, having many children as watchmen. They were irresponsible. Our fathers were irresponsible. And then you come here knowing that our fathers have been irresponsible and children have been born and they can't educate themselves. And the parents cannot take care of them. There's a president who comes and says that, come what may, I will put the taxpayers' money to educate these talented children because it's not their fault that they were born by irresponsible parents. It's not their fault. They have been born as Ghanaians. They are talented. They can become great. One child can redeem a whole village. One child can redeem a town. So Akufo-Addo says, I will put money to it so that every child is educated. And you feel that is, you have to write a book to denigrate him because he cost you your job at Joy FM, well, we will all answer to God. That's all I can say about the Akufo-Addo part. Let me go to some other part. Give me the free SHS photograph. Give me the free SHS photograph. Give it to me, the free SHS photograph. They'll put it there in a minute. Yes, these are the young children who are excited about the man that Manasseh says didn't do anything for Ghana. Manasseh Azuri says Akufo-Addo didn't do anything for Ghana. Everything he did for Ghana was to steal Ghana's money. The money that he stole, that he used to educate these young children. Go and ask John Mahama and Fifi Kwete that the survey that they conducted for this election about social policy, what did the survey tell them? The survey told them that 98% of Ghanaians applaud free SHS. And they don't applaud free SHS just as a policy. They also applaud the spirit behind initiating free SHS. That spirit that God put in Akufo-Addo. It is God who put in Akufo-Addo. It's not even about Akufo-Addo. It's God who put it in him because he made his mind willing to help Ghana in that regard. Presidents will come, presidents will go. A man comes, everybody makes mistakes. But that single social intervention is the best social intervention from Kwame Nkrumah's time up to today. This country has never seen a social intervention like that. Now let me talk about Kwame Nkrumah, our first president. Dr. Nkrumah inherited money from the British. He decided to have free education in the north. He had inherited money. Akufo-Addo inherited debt from John Dramani Mahama's government. He decided to initiate free SHS for everybody in Ghana. Not in the north, not in Bono Ahafo, not in Kumasi, not in KJB, Manasseh's hometown, not in Oti region, not in Accra, but the entire Ghanaian Republic. That every child born in Ghana, once you have finished JSS, you must have a right to go to SSS, and the government will pay for it. Not just that, the government will feed you. If you are in boarding house, if you are in a day student, the government will build a dining hall and feed you. That's Akufo-Addo's legacy that Manasseh is trying to denigrate because Akufo-Addo cost him his job at Joy FM. Interesting times ahead. We are going to be dealing with this in detail. Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Give me Akufo-Addo's photograph again. Thank you, Mr. President. Nobody can denigrate your record. That single thing that you have done, hearing the voice of God, that you decided that you are going to put the taxpayers' money to educate children of our irresponsible parents. Our parents will go and have 13 children knowing that they are a watchman. Our parents, they know they are watchman. They go and have 13 children. And God puts in your heart and in your mind, and you received it, that you are going to use the taxpayers' money to educate the children. Today, you have educated over 2 million Ghanaians with the taxpayers' money. God bless you, Mr. President. God bless you. God bless you again. That's what I have to say about the Akufo-Addo part of the book. Turn it around. Let's move to the rest. Now, on to Manasseh. I find some of the material in the book is completely irrelevant. What should we do with Chief Justice Eni Yeboah? Manasseh, you said Chief Justice Eni Yeboah was not Akufo-Addo's choice and it was his choice last minute. You said Professor Michael Quay was Akufo-Addo's choice. So what should we do? What is the journalism value in that? I don't understand it. This is dead news. Eni Yeboah has served his term and gone. Michael Quay has served his term and gone. And you are now coming to tell us the way in which they were appointed, which itself doesn't carry anything. They were appointed by Akufo-Addo shifting position on Thursday to Friday. So what? I mean, these people, Manasseh, do you want us to know that you have information? Yeah, thank you very much. You have information. What? It's a useless information, by the way. It's totally useless information. Some of the things in the book, I'm yet to complete it, but some of this is very, very irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. Maybe when people don't have anything to do to make an impact, they try to do something building on their own. You see, let us all try as young people not to be victims of the future. And I talk about something called victims of the future. Now, a victim of the future is one who in the future is referring to his past. That, oh, I was this, oh, I was that, oh, I was that. Now, it's a certain mental situation. So sometimes you want to still be what you used to be, but you have not been able to do the work that keeps you there. So you go back and try and put a book together and tell us irrelevant things, completely irrelevant. Eni Yeboah has served his term as Chief Justice. He's gone. You say that you are telling us that when he was becoming Chief Justice, Akufo-Addo was not sure about it. So what should we do? Anyway, okay, that's okay. Now, there's another matter that Manasseh raises, which is very, very dangerous, and I'd like to address that as well. The Parliament one. Here it is. Chief of Staff sends money to Parliament's Appointments Committee to facilitate approvals. Manasseh book claims. Now, this is very, very dangerous, extremely dangerous. And you see, I always talk like this about some of our investigative journalist people, making themselves look better and the institutions look bad. A society is built with wisdom. Society is built with wisdom, is built with candor, is built with understanding. That's even in the Bible. Now, the Parliament of Ghana is an important institution of the Ghanaian democratic edifice. If you, Manasseh, as a single person, wants to be popular, so you come and say things like that you cannot even prove about the Parliament of Ghana, I don't know why the members of Parliament on both NDC and MPP are looking at this and laughing about it. I don't know why the clerk of Parliament is looking at this and is not writing to Manasseh to give them information and evidence on this and flatly denying it. The Chief of Staff gave money to members of Parliament. Now, our Parliament is all we have. It is an important institution of state. So Manasseh writes a book to denigrate Parliament because he needs relevance. The guy has become so irrelevant that because he's looking for relevance, he writes a book to denigrate the Parliament and everybody is watching. Civil society, what's his name? Dr. Kwesi Prempeh, CDD. What's his name? Opumpuni, CDD. Franklin Kujo, Imani. You're all watching. It's okay for the Parliament of Ghana to be denigrated with rumors by an investigative journalist who may be taken seriously by some people. Many years ago, the learned former Attorney General, Joe Garte, told me a story. Mr. Garte was speaking to me in his office, this is sometime around 2007, and I was talking to him about politics, and he said, Paul, you know what? These are politicians. I don't think that they have understood the democracy that occurs in England and America. You know why people think politicians are thieves? He quizzed. I said, tell me. He said, because politicians who want to win election come to tell the people that my colleague politician is a thief because he wants to win election. And by saying that, the general Ghanaian populace have begun to feel that politicians are thieves because the politician comes to tell the non-politician that the other politician is a thief and so he shouldn't vote for him. If you want to be voted for, you can say why you have to be voted for. But if you come and say somebody is a thief, you are denigrating the very institution that is going to build and hold our country together in future. This is the character of people like this. They are so unpatriotic They are so selfish about themselves. Manasseh, I'm suggesting to you that this act is a selfish act about yourself, looking for relevance. If you're looking for relevance, do a news story, we will like it. Don't look for relevance by denigrating the Parliament of Ghana. Now, minority leader and majority leader, are you looking at this and you think it's laughable? The minority leader, K. Solatu Forsen, majority leader, Alexander Fenyo-Makin, you are looking at this and you think that it is laughable, that Manasseh Azuri says the Parliament was taking bribe from no less a person than the high office of the Chief of Staff. And it's okay. Watch the English Premier League, viewers. You know it's about to start this week. Now, in the English Premier League, you know what they do? If you are a coach in the English Premier League, yeah, and you see a referee mishandle a game, even if you have sufficient evidence and everything shows the referee mishandled the game, if you don't know and you talk about it, they fine you. Why? Because they don't want to denigrate the institution of the Premier League. That's what they have. They have to protect it and uplift the image. Not that they do not know that the referee may have mishandled the game, because they punish the referees too. But they don't want you to talk about it publicly. Because that's what I'm saying, that societies are built by wisdom. Societies are not built by selfishness and flippancy and going to make people know that you have some information that people don't have. This is what hurts me about how we allowed such things to become journalism. Because that's not journalism in England. That is why before you become a journalist in England, they check you out. You must have studied here. You must have studied there. You must have studied this. You must know that before you become a journalist. But here, you can become a journalist anyhow. So people become journalists that they don't have the wisdom of how to build the society. They are talking about the Parliament of Ghana. The Parliament of Ghana is a corrupt parliament. That's what Manasseh is saying. Just so that he looks good and the Parliament of Ghana looks bad, you point no less a person as Chief of Staff. And that's what I'm talking about English Premier League. When referee Graham Taylor has done something wrong, it is not that the Premier League doesn't know he has done something wrong. But if you are Arsene Wenger, you are Alex Ferguson, you are Eric Ten Hag, or you are Mikel Arteta, you are not allowed to publicly denigrate the referee's performance of the English Premier League. You will be fined. Nevertheless, that the referee may also be punished. But they are protecting the institution. Never would you hear a British member of parliament call another British member of parliament a thief. Even if the evidence abound, he will never come out publicly. When they are having the committee meeting, they will shut the door and say that it's in camera. You watch CNN, when the American Congress is having committee meetings, they bring in Mark Zuckerberg. They are talking to him and they said, okay, Mr. Chairman, at this stage, we have to now get the media out and ask Mr. Zuckerberg further questions. Why do they do that? They want to protect the institution of the United States of America and its Congress. That's what we have to learn. To learn that, we have to talk some sense into the heads of people like Manasseh Azuri, who feel that they have a right now to denigrate anything in Ghana just so that they become relevant. This is terrible, and people must speak about it. Those who don't speak about it, it is coming after you. Because that's how societies are built. Societies are built with wisdom. What are you talking about? You go and write about the Parliament of Ghana in this way so that you are the hero. You are a hero. That's what has happened to our GFA. Anas made himself a hero on number 12 and our football collapsed. Which is better? That Anas, one individual of 30 million, is a hero? Is that how we want to build a society? Civil society. Kwesi Prempe. You think this is okay? You all know what happens in America. You think this is okay? No problem. Let it be okay. Clerk of Parliament, I am waiting to see the letter that you write about this, because this is a serious matter. It says, Chief of Staff sends money to Parliament Appointments Committee to facilitate approvals. I have not heard any member of Parliament's Appointments Committee say this. Alhassan Suhini, my good brother, you are a member of the Appointments Committee. Did you also receive some of Chief of Staff's money? Alhassan, if you didn't, you have an active Facebook page. Please publish it. Okujeto Ablakwa, Vigilante. Did you also receive Chief of Staff's money? If you didn't receive Chief of Staff's money, you have an active Facebook page. Let's see what's happening. Manasseh Azuri is not denigrating Akufo-Addo and Chief of Staff. He is denigrating the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, which is the most important institution in our democratic edifice. And that's very dangerous. Let's have a look at that. Okay, let's go to the next stage then. Manasseh talks about Napo. And I can't even believe what he says. I can't believe what he says. And I'm going to show you. Manasseh, I'm guessing that you have a hatred for Napo. Maybe he has a hatred for chieftaincy. And that's what some people told me that, oh, don't you know, Manasseh has a hatred for chieftaincy. I don't know. I don't believe it. But from the way he talks, you definitely have a hatred for Napo. Because the comparison he draws and says, I prefer the Nano Pokwajiman to Napo. I'm going to deal with it in detail. But before then, let's look at this. Look at Manasseh's relationship with Napo in the last 2 months. Manasseh's relationship with Napo in the last 2 months. Look at it. 2 hours after Napo was unveiled as a running mate, there comes Manasseh with the most derogatory statement about the medical doctor, that he's talking like a KJT market preacher. You remember that? You all remember that? 2 hours, Napo had not even reached home. He hadn't reached his house after the event at Jubilee Park in Kumasi. He hadn't gotten home. When Manasseh came to espouse some communication students thing, which even turned out to be a total hogwash, because communication students should be speaking the opposite. He says, as a student of communication studies, I saw his body language as more of a KJT market preacher than that of a running mate. 2 hours after Napo had been outdoored, 2 hours, you came to say this about him. What happened next? Somebody comes and says, TJ Baba says that, my brother Manasseh, fortunately for us in the MPP, it is the KJT market traders who will be voting, and we are particularly excited seeing him speaking their language. That was what a very sensible TJ Baba told Manasseh. 2 hours after Napo had been outdoored, your hatred for Napo had started. And then you come back here, Manasseh says that in my previous post, okay, let me read it well. He says, in my previous post, my intention was not to demean KJT preachers or any group of persons. I observed that the MTP's running mate delivered his speech in the manner market preachers speak. In fact, KJT came to mind, Manasseh says, because of where the program was held. But I could have used Kaneshi Makola and the meaning would still have been the same, without intending to offend any group of people. To the extent that some people are hurt by the mention of KJT and understand it to be an attack on some particular group of people, I unreservedly apologize to anyone who suffered. This is Manasseh talking. Your hatred for Napo is obvious. This is the same man that Manasseh says he's benefited from before. And there's no problem with Manasseh benefiting from Napo or anybody like that. There's no problem with that. But you, Manasseh, told us that you sent a book to Napo and you were excited with the way he wrote. In fact, there's something in there that says that Napo has been very kind to him, etc., etc. So Manasseh did the same thing to ABAJ. ABAJ told me that Manasseh comes to his house to eat and to share pleasantries with him and to take largesse from him. So Manasseh was his friend. And he didn't know that Manasseh had hatred for him. Manasseh went to interview him and slipped in a question that was not part of the interview. And ABAJ found his job lost. Later on, the High Court vindicated him. But this is what Manasseh is doing again. If you hate people, don't go near them, Manasseh. Let them know that you hate them. Manasseh's hatred for Napo and chieftaincy and the things that Napo represents is very, very obvious. 2 hours after the man had become running mate, you wrote that about him, that he's KJT market preacher. When we all came after you, then you said you're apologizing because you forgot that you, Manasseh, you and I, we belong to the KJT market preacher. It's only God that has done us good. If God didn't do us good, Manasseh, you and me, we are all belong to that group of people who have to go to the market to fend for themselves because our fathers had children that they can't take care of. You and me, we are together in that. And today, you denigrate KJT market preachers because God has helped you for you to have a pen and for you to gain admission to UCC. You gain admission to UCC. So you've forgotten your background. You come and insult KJT market preachers, forgetting that you and I belong there. That's where we come from. We are the men of the earth because of who our fathers were. They are not people with means. Our fathers are not people with means. So you and I belong there. And then you come and denigrate KJT market preachers just because you hate Napo. Your hatred for Napo is so palpable. Now, let me show you, viewers, why I'm saying that. So the comparison is between Napo and Jenano Pokwajiman, isn't it? And Manasseh says, you can leave it as silent. You can leave it however you want it. Anybody can say, I prefer Jenano Pokwajiman to Napo. Of course, many NDC people will say that, and you cannot begrudge them. But as a journalist, whether you are neutral or you are not neutral, you cannot say that you prefer Jenano Pokwajiman over Napo. Now, let me show you why, viewers. Napo is a doctor and a politician. Jenano Pokwajiman has never been a doctor before. She's been a politician before, but she's never been a doctor before. Jenano Pokwajiman is a teacher at the university who rose to the high level of vice chancellor. In fact, the first vice chancellor of a university in Ghana. So Napo cannot compare with Jenano Pokwajiman on vice chancellorship. because he hasn't done that before. Jenana cannot compare to Napo on medicine because he hasn't done that before. The only thing that the two people have done before is what I've written in the middle, education. Jenana Opoku-Agyeman has been Minister for Education. Napo has been Minister for Education. If Manasseh, a journalist of supposedly high repute, makes a suggestion that Jenana Opoku-Agyeman is preferred, it obviously means that he is assessing the two candidates on what both of them have done before, i.e. education. Okay, who in Ghana, the deepest green blood NDC, the deepest one, who in Ghana can say, even Jenana Opoku-Agyeman cannot say that. Who in Ghana can say that education, Jenana Opoku-Agyeman's tenure from 2013 to 2016 was better than Napo's tenure from 2017 to 2020? No Ghanaian can say that. Nobody can say that. Viewers, if you can say that, send a text. Send a text and show me that Jenana Opoku-Agyeman's tenure at education was better than Napo. No Ghanaian, in fact, our NDC friends, when Napo was nominated, they told us that, Charlie, you go this one day, you won't bring Napo so that we'll talk. We're not going to talk about education. Napo is arrogant. That's what they used to say. That's what the NDC people used to say, because they know that you cannot compare Jenana Opoku-Agyeman to Napo on education and say that Jenana Opoku-Agyeman is the most preferred. But because of Manasseh Azuri's hatred for Napo, that's what he did. He put it in the book. That's what Manasseh Azuri did. His hatred for Napo is what has brought this book, because that hatred was demonstrated just 2 hours after Napo was on bail. You came to write a faux pas, which later you had to apologize for. Shame on you. You have too much hatred in you, Manasseh. Too much hatred. Drop it. Drop the hatred and pray to God. Go to your pastor, Mental Tabel. He will help you. You have too much hatred in you, Manasseh. Too much hatred. Nobody's problem it is. Me too, my father had many children he couldn't take care of. I don't hate anybody for that. I pray to God for forgiveness and that I will not be like my father. It is nobody's fault. That you and I were on the ground is nobody's fault. God has helped us. Stop the hatred. Too much hatred in your heart. Why? What has Napo done to you? 2 hours after Napo was on bail, you came to talk some things about him that you had to withdraw. And now you make the most ridiculous statement that Jenana Opoku-Agyeman is preferred to Napo. What is the base of your assessment? The only basis of your assessment has to be education. And on education, you cannot honestly say that. Then you are a totally dishonest human being. Okay, let's move to Atubiga, who has a lot to say about Napo. Have a look at this. Atubiga.
Obine peja mami Jane. Eti se ye kafu gbantu. E hwe John Dramani with Muhammad say. E no bo kafu mu drama oje no. Omo mfa ho say party ni accept. Party members ni pene so. E ke party strategical ho. E na o ye Napo. Ene me mami na Jane. Napo ye Johnny Walker. Napo ye Red Label. What you say? Napo ye whiskey. Mami, udi wo mo compare. E ya patashi. Me mama te say palm wine, local palm wine tapper. Because we do not so many debater. It is a reabone Benz. It too much. Napo a seasoned politician, or politics no.
Stephen Atubiga on there. All right, we have a lot to share. We have a lot to share today. Maybe let me take text messages right now, and then we'll come back and do the rest of the story. Not yet text messages. Your TV is gone off, please. Not yet text messages. Let's continue with the next story. Okay, let's do text messages now. I'll come back and do the OSP story. Did you hear that the OSP eventually cleared John Dramani Mahama, didn't he? And we'll talk about that. Martin Amidu has responded, and so has my good long lost friend, Oliver Voma Bakaho. Okay, let's take text messages on what we've done so far. Let me start with Fatih.
All right, thank you, Paul. So, on the Akufo-Addo story, Airbus says, "May the Lord bless NPP government and Nana Addo for winning this election, and we hope they continue their good governance." Now, Hamilton also said the last batch that paid school fees in 2016 was 1,750. Thank God poor parents can now send their children to school through NPP-free SHS. Now, Shadrach also says DMB speaks out his policies. Mahama picked it up for his campaign. Yesterday, he said they provide 24 hours driver's license. Of course, something DMB said he would do by extending driver's license for about 8 to 10 years. Also coming from Next one is Apostle Paul. Manasseh's book is all about what this person said and that hearsays and nothing else. After drumming home the journalistic profession of conducting research, providing education and entertainment to the readers and listeners, and this is what our brother is giving us to stay relevant. Now coming from Shadrach, it says, actually, these things you are rising from the book should rather be an article as he loves to, and not in a book which after a while politics will leave the policies. Now, Kojo says, Paul, let the NDC clarify this announcement very well. Is the NDC announcing no admission fee or no academic fee? The former is easier to implement than the former. Admission fee is just like fee for processing or regularization students admission, and it's just one-time payment, while academic fee is recurring. We do not want the NDC to change positions in the unlikely event if they win. And lastly, coming from Daniel, says, Paul, we do not understand the lines we must not cross for political expediency. This has been my cry all the time. Media pluralism didn't help Ghana at all. Something surely needs to be done to protect the sanctity of our dear nation. Example, I was extremely worried about this issue of our PhD and Dutch passports. It wasn't just an issue to laugh over. It put all of us in academia in a bad light, which will come back to bite all of us in the nearest future. Let's be careful. What are your first answer about?
All right, so Ado Alive is saying, please let the OSP know that his duty is to investigate a case, and after that he will send it to court. But he cannot clear someone after investigating a case. From Fauzan, he says, Operation 9 million votes for John Mahama and 185 parliamentary seats. Owusu Setri is saying, everyone gets up and starts writing a book. What contribution has that Manasseh Azuri made to Ghana's development? From Charles Osei, he says, Paul, your in-depth analysis and understanding of journalism sets you apart from other journalists. You are the best journalist in Ghana. Okay. From Maxwell Entry, he says, the day Napo is going to be the MPP flag bearer in Ghana, Ghanaians are going to be jealous. Okay, that's it. Over to you, Paul.
Welcome back to the show, and this is Good Evening Ghana. And Martin Amidu has been talking about the OSP. You know that the OSP, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, Kisia Jabin, recently published a note. He has still not responded to our RTI. In fact, he has decided to ignore it. So we're going to take the processes against him. So we'll deal with that. That's another matter for next week. But now, OSP has spoken. And this is Oliver Vermaho, who is an activist, you know, fix the country activist. This is Kisia Jabin, the OSP, and the former OSP Martin Benskaiser Amidu. Amidu has written something. Let's go straight to what Amidu wrote, and then we can discuss it. So this is what Amidu wrote. Let's read it quickly. Airbus scandal. What was the state interest? He starts. The interests of the state were, 1, to uncover the government official 1, and the intermediaries, especially intermediary 5, and the people behind company D. He goes on. On the reports by the OSP, it can be seen that the OSP did interest protective job. That's how he calls it. Interest protective job than the state's interest job. He, Martin Amidu continues, referring to the OSP, he seems to be decorating the victims of the accused instead of going straight to the point. What is the point then? He starts. Firstly, this case was held in the UK and in the US, which the Airbus company was invited to assist in the investigations, which they did by confirming they paid bribe to state officials and intermediary 5, which allowed them to meet government official 1 in Ghana and in other countries. Similar actions were taken. The courts punished them for not doing the right thing to prevent the company from engaging in corruption activities. Martin Amidu continues. He says, so from the go, it has been established that inappropriate activities took place. So in Ghana, we were expecting the OSP to investigate the matter by inviting the known government official 1, intermediary 5, shareholders of company D, and the Airbus group. He goes on. But according to the OSP, he visited government official 1, which is John Dramani Mahama, for further information and engaged intermediary 5 and company D staffs. According to the OSP, Martin Amidu continues, after these engagements, He believes nothing wrong was carried out by those individuals involved. The question is why the OSP office did not invite the Airbus company to also testify or to prove the bribe they paid, and to who, aside intermediary 5, was giving some of the 3 million euro. Clearly, the OSP has not handled the case to its logical conclusions, and I, Martin Amidu, will wish the Attorney General and the police take over the case. The OSP should tell us his reason for not extending invitation to the Airbus company to prove the allegations. This mistakes from the OSP has created doubt in many people's mind as to believe or disagree with the OSP. Secondly, Martin Amidu continues, after reading the observations of the OSP, it was clear that conflict of interest has been noticed. So the advice from the OSP on this is totally surprising. If a certain president can use his brother's company for a deal like this, which has generated international attention, every serious country would have pushed beyond what we are now seeing as a country. Thirdly, Martin Amidu goes on what basis did the OSP conclude that the 3 million paid to the brother of John Mahama, intermediary 5, was for service rendered when the company says it was a bribe? Fourthly, the OSP should publish the email from John Mahama to the Airbus company for everyone to see. We just want to appreciate the process. Finally, Amidu says, the Airbus case has become political. So possibilities of taking the security of the country into consideration on this matter is very important, but the OSP could have done a better job than this one. Okay. The confusion is here. 1, yes, government official 1 is John Dramani Mahama. So what it means is that the case as being ruled by foreign courts, Mahama could have excused himself, which he didn't do. So what is next? I don't quite understand what he's saying. Yes, government official 1 is John Mahama. So he says that what? He should have excused himself. Okay, maybe we can explore this further. Those of you lawyers who understand it, you can explain to us. Number 2, he says that, and then he ends by saying, the Airbus scandal, again, the OSP has disappointed Ghanaians, a country called Ghana, by Martin Amidu. So just a summary of it, viewers. The Airbus scandal that's been talked about indicates clearly that 3 million United States dollars was paid as, well, OSP says it was for service provided by John Mahama's brother, and the other one says that it was a bribe. We all were fumbling about who is government official 1. The OSP has identified government official 1 as John Dramani Mahama. He had an interview with him, which he didn't tell us the details. He need not to. He's the OSP. But Martin Amidu is asking questions about an email that John Mahama sent to Airbus that he should write. What I agree with Martin Amidu, though, that perhaps OSP should have spoken to Airbus as well, because they went under the trial process and were found guilty of bribing Ghanaian officials, including the intermediary 5, who was connected to government official 1. So really, OSP should have spoken to the Airbus company. But I'm sure more of this will come. But that's Martin Amidu's. The more interesting one is Oliver Bamaho's own. And this is how he goes. He says, I have been frank. I have seen the Charles Edouboahin report, and I have seen the Airbus report. I am unable to accept that the OSP has been either meticulous, committed, and or understands sufficiently the gravity of his role. Both reports score shoddy work to me. I am not talking about his conclusions necessarily, but how he gets to them. Again, to be clear, I am not pronouncing on anyone's guilt or otherwise, just the porousness of the work of the OSP did. I think Kisi is either tired or dejected. He needs to resign. He needs to resign is what Bamaho says. Hopefully, not under Mampam. I guess that's a derogatory reference to Nana Akufo-Addo. We'll take it, no problem. We forgive him. But as soon as a new president is elected, he needs to hand in his resignation. Shalom, says Bamaho. I have stood here and talked about the OSP's work in leaps and bounds. I have had occasion enough to talk about the OSP's porousness of his work, and his work in doing it in media and flying drones and wanting to be seen. He almost suffers from some of the psychosis of Manasseh. Delusions of self-grandeur is what is disturbing them. There's a cure for it. They should go to NS Chemist. There's a yellow medicine. You take one every day. If you take it, you will solve delusions of self-grandeur and megalomania. You will solve it. NS Chemist has it. It's yellow medicine. Take one. you will solve that problem. Kisi Ajabe and Manasseh, you need that tablet. Go and take it. I have a friend who took it, is gone. He's now very normal. This is your delusions of self-grandeur that goes through your head and the megalomania. You have to go and take the medicine and stop it. That's how they are. So I have talked about his work. Now, it's coming from Oliver, who doesn't even agree with me on political philosophy. He doesn't. We don't agree on political philosophy. But Oliver has noticed as a lawyer that Kisi Ajabe's work is exceptionally porous. Very, very porous. That's the kind of work he does. That's what he does. And when you talk about Charles Edouboahin, do you know how much money? Do you know how much money? That Charles Edouboahin thing, do you know how much money? Anyway. Alrighty. Let's go for text messages on this one again. Give me 222 or 111. Let's talk to Fatih about it. Fatih, what are they saying?
Okay, Paul. So this is coming from Ms. Jerry, and Jerry says, so is the free first year education progressive or it is instant? Now coming from Emmanuel Jojo, says, so after first year, who pays the rest of the fees? Then you drop out. Be that right? Now Ken Abdul says, Jinane's time, food was no problem in SHS. The students were passing with their hard efforts, not now. And then lastly, coming from Edward, it says, Martin Amidu, you were the first special prosecutor. Why didn't you also do your job? Lily Walls also says, so Manasseh's book is all about gossip. What do you have for us?
Okay, coming from Aaron Babaku, he says, good evening to you. The government should focus on improving the business environment in Ghana. This can be achieved by reducing bureaucracy, streamlining regulations, and enhancing transparency in government processes. By making it easier for businesses to operate in the country, the government can attract more foreign investment and stimulate economic growth. He also says, in order to foster peace among us, it is essential to prioritize empathy, understanding, and communication. We must be willing to listen to others with an open mind, even if we disagree with them, by seeking common ground and focusing on what unites us rather than dividing us. We can bridge the gaps, between us and build stronger, more cohesive communities. Over to you, Paul.
Interesting text messages, isn't it? Let's remember to take a break right now. When we come back, I have a special message from you from Manasseh Azuri on the 24-hour economy. Then we bring in the legendary Koku Anyidoho back on the table with that exclusive interview. We'll be right back.
Blast. Boom! Exclusively on Betway. Win up to 300% more when you play FlyX with Win Boost from Betway. Betway, get way more.
Experience the enhanced protection of Star Motor Third Party Extra from Star Assurance, an enhanced motor third party insurance policy that provides cover for loss or damage to your vehicle's windscreens, side mirrors, back glass, and other glass components. Whether it's a crack or major damage, you can drive with the assurance that your vehicle is well protected. Our commitment to you includes affordable coverage options and a claims process that is both fast and straightforward, so you spend less time dealing with paperwork and more time on the road. Also, we have proudly partnered with Hope for Little Lives, an organization dedicated to supporting children in need. By choosing Star Motor Third Party Extra, you're protecting your vehicle and making a positive impact. Every policy you buy helps bring joy and support to children in underserved communities. Reach out to us now on our toll-free numbers 0800-177-177 or 0302-245-906 to sign up. Let us help you drive with peace of mind and purpose. Star Motor Third Party Extra. Drive with confidence, give back with heart.
Star Assurance, your solid partner.
In today's modern world, Stairs are a challenge, especially for our elderly and those with health concerns. Navigating them can be difficult and even dangerous, but there's a safer way to move vertically. Lifts and Elevators Limited Company, your answer to a more accessible and secure vertical transportation. Our elevators and escalators, including top-of-the-line pneumatic vacuum elevators, Fuji elevators and escalators, offer a safer and more convenient alternative, eliminating the risks of stairs and enhancing accessibility for homes, businesses, and hospitals. Choose safety and convenience with Lifts and Elevators Limited Company. Elevate your spaces today. For more information, visit our website at www.elevatorsgh.org or call now on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators Limited Company, the elevator people.
Unemu bua unkoisha Dr. Ban uye denwa.
Oh, mesi ya mfano kwa mami buru wa.
Mami ko buru. Ni ya tele be ko bra. Mumi mfano ko Dr. Ban ho.
Dr. Ban o ya de.
Bra, se pa no mpemu adwuma sasabro sro Dr. Ban o ye.
Sai ni kemi kwa na meka. Oh no mpemu nimdi ono na ye expect nya zanfo no. O akra eni kumasi no mpemu expect yen kan kire o.
Blast. Boom! Exclusively on Betway. Win up to 300% more when you play Fly X with Win Boost from Betway. Betway, get way more.
Here is to the friends who took the chance with no regrets. Investors no more hating fortune. To the health workers who diagnosed blacks every move. And then to the hard guy who couldn't hold his emotions. To the passionate fan who couldn't contain his joy. To the seamstress who turned her hand-earned stitches into a bundle of joy. And now, here is to you. Your next big win is right here. From 1st July 2024, dial *712# and Password tickets as a group individual to win in the community draw or the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. Unlock your luck with *712#.
Created by the NLA on the Caritas platform, not for persons below 18 years. TNCs apply.
Welcome back. So, we are still in election season. Manasseh, Azuri has something to say about 24-hour economy. Have a look. What did he say? Put it on the TV. Let's have a look at it. So, this is what he said. There's a video, apparently. There's a video, isn't it? I think there's a video. Okay, now let's look at the text first. He said, let me get close. What have we been able to do with the 8 hours? Nothing with productivity. So, for me, the 24-hour economy is not a policy, and I've written about it. Oh, okay. So that's what he said. He said the 24-hour economy is not a policy, and he has written about it. Okay, I think we don't have a video for it yet. We have a video. Okay, let's watch the video. Manasseh is talking. Have a look.
What have we been able to do with the 8 hours? We have not been able to fill the 8 hours with productivity. So for me, the 24-hour economy is not a policy, and I've written about it. Aliza Hotel operates 24 hours because there is business. If you go to a printer who prints, if there is work Nobody will tell the printer to do 24 hours. They will do it. If there's no work, they'll shut down their machines and go to sleep. Some hospitals operate 24 hours. You cannot go to the ministries and tell them to operate 24 hours because you want to introduce a 24-hour
You think that will not work?
So that should be a byproduct of development and productivity that would compel people to want to spend more hours, high different shifts to work.
But he says you put in the measures. You create the enabling environment for that to be achieved. You doubt him?
That is a political talk that doesn't mean anything. When they say they are creating enabling environments.
That was Manasseh speaking to excellent Bolare. Bolas, I've not seen you in a while, man. How you doing, Charlie? You're the best, yeah? Okay, that was a good interview by Bolare with Manasseh Azuri about the book. Okay. We can't talk about 24-hour economy without going to Dr. Atawusu. We can't do that. We can never do. Atawusu is the best exponent of the 24-hour economy. Have a look at Atawusu one more time.
The 24-hour economy, mama and papa and mom chitifie, mom yen and moi. John Dramani Mahama said what the modern farming techniques and the deba. It's under animal farming. I will call a bit is a pudon or china. We call her animal farming. Wouldn't say Jatani Mwaka see elephant near the gum egu farm numbi. And you want to mean Cosset or Cocodo, and I said, oh, what could be any. It would set up plantation in the BBA, we are no jam one ago. Not jam one guma, obey here almost swap. What would the plain ever Fabium, no mas as ever and one in any other. Not proud to that, no. What training expert for our Mosu Ebeshem choir, a friend say, Omo Ebeshem one, so Bobby area, a bit my one of Pania the other day. Nasanyuma way in an Airbus, a Babwama or Momarie a Greek, a waggy care, KUST, Legon, woman in Abbey Jumaye.
With all that we are saying, I'm quite confused.
Okay.
I'm confused. I'm confused and I say, animal really no say yeah animal farming no sa jatani winning in ano ebe benefits.
Yeah, yes. Reason is say ebe my tourist attraction.
Okay, good.
Because ukopudon.
Now more of tourism.
Tourism
Than say yeah re animal na
my. To that no so no emwana kasa no ubetimi a export to be.
Okay.
U export no na sika no day enioma na ekọ no. Na unya dollars. Dollars ne ba na bebe usika sama day ejina.
Okay.
Proud to that, no. They will make it a exportation. Movement, however, I say, would the new money be corner? Not the corner, would the corner, Ubenya dollars number. Dollars bar, because country Biana, what can your mom more than your export to Biano? Country now, what they a buffer. And not Dr. Mahamadou Baumia Baya went to Mania, Wama Hochaba. It's one more we are station officers near the Ninano, one Benya Jumaye. One more we are for masonry reform. I bet to war, a fancy land in Nina. Almost Benya Jumaye. Proud to that. Dr. Muhammad Baumia, Ebaya Okase, obey one district, one factory, went to me. And here are John Dramani Mahama say, under one district, one factory, one no dear, obey the embark on agro.
Now, it's my pleasure to bring back that interview with Koku Anyidoho, which many people have called for. And now we've sort of edited it a little bit, but we start from the part where I asked him that how did he hear about the death of Professor Mills. This interview was aired live on Good Evening Ghana 2 weeks ago. Here it is again. What is this story about? Some Saturday, Mills was unwell in 2012 early. Rumors were that he had died. John Mahama is reported to have called Speaker Joyce Bamfordado to tell Joyce Bamfordado that I hear the president has passed. Can you organize parliament? The story continues that Joyce then asked Kojo Chikata, that's how we're going to do this. They said the old man is dead. Kojo said, I have not heard it. How can the old man die? I don't know. He said, well, this is what the vice president called to tell. Story continues that Kojo Chikata came to the castle to see what's happening. When he came, all of you were around Professor Mills singing praises, and Professor Mills was there. And then you were told, you asked Kojo, what is that? Kojo said, well, Speaker said, Vice President said, Papa has died. And I hear the Monday you went to John Mahama's office, it was brutal. Is it true?
I must have entered the Vice President's office not more than 4 times, all on official assignment.
So this story is not true?
Palpably false.
Did Mills have any problem on a Saturday like that?
I don't remember, I don't recall.
So
now let me give you a typical example of how the president respected his vice president. So the president had gone to Switzerland, to Bern, the capital, for a state visit. Then flew to Zurich to meet Sepp Blatter to discuss football matters, because everybody knows the president and football, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the issues of accountability. Long and short, Sepp Blatter said, look, FIFA is not against accountability. What we are against is the interference of governments in the administering the FA. So, for example, if the FA goes to Congress.
Okay, so this is when you created accountability committee out of Parliament.
Good.
Oh, I remember that.
We created a public interest committee, of
yes,
the GFA, not Parliament. Public
but
interest.
Parliament acknowledged it somehow.
Good.
Yeah.
And Abedi was supposed to chair that public interest committee.
Pele.
And all that. Of course, myself, Kojo Bonsu, this same Nilante and a few people. Chumbuafo Zali. All rabid sports enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And we were all for it. Only for the president to call us one day and say, look, gentlemen, you know what? John Mahama, the vice president, has come to me. Apparently, Kwesi Nyantechi and Randy Abe
had gone to see him.
Yeah,
to talk about it.
To make him feel that we are doing something that is not done. FIFA will collapse Ghana. How can FIFA collapse Ghana?
Okay, so what did the president tell you?
So the president said, the vice president came to me with this story. He's forgotten that I'm a football administrator. He's forgotten that I went to FIFA and I checked all these things. But he believes that you people are doing something and that it can affect the image of sports in Ghana. So you know what? Not that I believe him, but out of respect for him, he has come to complain to me as the president. Why don't you guys just back off so that he believes and knows that whatever he brought to me, I have handled it to the best of my ability.
Oh, that's deep.
I'm telling you. This is President Mills.
Oh, I see. So that's how
Yes.
the committee was slowed down.
Slow down.
Then you must have been annoyed with John Mahama then.
How?
Because
the president says, so me, fast forward, when now Randy and Nyantechi stopped being friends, and then Nyantechi had his issues, I only said, Nyantechi, if you had allowed us at the time to help you.
Oh, you're right.
With the
If
public
there was
interest.
that public interest, the system wouldn't have broken down the way it is.
And then
Because
for
that
you,
public interest would have just taken over
exactly,
and decide what to do. FIFA would have relaxed.
Thank you.
Oh,
And so,
yeah.
so they fell out. The Randy and the Nyantechi, didn't they fall out?
Yeah, they did.
But interestingly enough, Paul, a lot of the people, those days, Randy was a regular on Peace FM. Even, I think, maybe here, Metro.
Yeah, Metro says
Lost no opportunity to bash Mills. Who else was not bashing Mills? Those were the days of the Funka Boys, Kofi Adams and co. They will insult Mills 24 hours.
Hey, I forgot about Funka. Osu Bempa. I own Osu Bempa.
Immediately,
things have happened in this country.
Immediately, President Mills died. Yamin and co. Broja Jenfi and co. They were in the Ashanti region holding that leg of the insults and the Mills bashing. Immediately, President Mills died. They became right-hand men of John Mahama. And today, they say that even positive criticism against John Mahama is not accepted.
I'll come to that. How did you hear that Mills had died?
So, I was in my office that morning.
It was a weekday, Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday. I had seen him the Saturday, which was his birthday, 21st. I had woken up, gone to see him by 6 a.m. And his son Kofi came to join us. We had some interesting discussion about issues. And so that's me crying there. And that was Saturday. Sunday, there was church service. Monday, the medics said he wasn't seeing anybody, which is... So Tuesday morning, I was in my office, actually, working on some speech that he was supposed to deliver at a public function. Because I used to write all his speeches. Name them. State of the Nation.
Was he traveling on Tuesday?
Well, I got to know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know before, but I got to know later, yes, that actually he was going to leave for
Nigeria
that Tuesday morning.
Okay.
So I was in my office when a security man came banging on my door. They've taken the old man away. They're taking the old man and say, Charlie, I will let it.
Wole from where?
So apparently he was carried, stretchered.
From where?
From his room.
A castle.
At the castle. Into the
room
ambulance.
Or office?
No, not from the office. The residence.
The residence. Mm-hmm. And put in what kind of car?
Of course, that's that one in an ambulance.
With motorcade was there?
Motorcade, medic. So that's, even at the point they said I carried him in the boot of my vehicle.
Okay, so the motorcade drove him to 37?
Yeah, they drove him to 37.
In a normal presidential?
Oh, yeah, that one.
So those stories are not true?
They are not true.
Thank you.
They are not
Very
true.
happy
I mean, no, they are not true. I mean, a sitting president, definitely there will be motorcade. The ADC joined.
So he didn't come to the office at all that day?
No, he didn't come to the office at all that day.
Was it a residence?
It was a residence.
Fell,
yeah. And of course, the stories abound. His son says he had lunch with him. A sister is supposed to have gone there. All those other stories, that is their story.
You didn't see anything?
No, I didn't.
So you were in your office?
I was in my office.
Okay.
And so now, we went to 37. And he was declared officially dead around
at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, 1:32 or thereabout.
What happened thereafter?
Well, I remember when I arrived, because the motorcade had left.
Is that you and Alote Jacobs?
That's me and Alote Jacobs, yes.
Wow.
We finished mourning and finished crying like this, and they say we have no right to keep the man's legacy alive. And they didn't laugh at us those days. That, yes, their father is dead and gone. We'll see how they will survive in Ghana. And we are surviving and it's paining them.
So,
yeah,
what happened
so
hours after?
when I got to 37, because like I'm saying, the motorcade left, the security man came to inform me. So I now had to rush to 37. So I got there. And when I got there, of course, I saw Colonel Lawson.
He was with him?
Yeah. The ADC went with him.
Yeah.
But his office, I mean,
they're right there. Yeah.
So I'm telling you that as much as I was close to the president, I had access to his bedroom. I would sit on his bed. He would be bathing, but he would draw the blinds. We can have a conversation. When we got to the office setting, Paul, he made sure that
everybody
kept
their place.
That kept their place.
So when you got to 37, what happened?
So I got to 37, and once I arrived, I was ushered into the ICU, the intensive care unit. So the story that he went to a maternity ward is also not true. Children's ward is not true. He went to the ICU, and he had commissioned the ICU maybe 2-3 months before.
That.
And it was a double commissioning he did when he went to 37 at the time. The ICU and the refurbished mortuary.
Oh, wow.
And as fate will have it.
That's interesting.
As fate will have it.
From the ICU,
he
went to the mortuary.
He went to the mortuary. Where Papa, where Fa.
So
if
when
you do good,
when you were leaving 37,
so when I went to 37, I was ushered into the ICU. And then there was the lifeless body of the president. They removed the cloth.
The white.
And so they up to maybe the navel.
So you saw his face?
I saw his face. I saw his upper body. And as I stood there watching the lifeless body of the president, I'm not sure how I got out of the ICU because, you know.
You don't know how you got out of the ICU?
I don't know how I got out of the ICU.
They carried you?
I don't know.
Where did you end up?
So I found, later on I realized that we were in a room and they had brought a psychologist to come and work on us, a few of us. Oh, myself and Colonel Lawson was part of it. A few close aides. I don't remember any of the brothers being in that close meeting.
Was the Reverend Minister there?
Amudaku. It's possible.
Yeah.
And this psychologist came. Then the lead physician, who also came and said that, gentlemen, you know that the president is dead, don't you? Yeah, it's good to cry, it's good to break down, it's good to weep. But let's allow him to go and rest. And that he had defied medical science for 8 years.
Oh, 8 years.
That he had defied medical science for 8 years. Now, Paul, and I want to believe that the medical doctor was telling us the truth. A man who defied medical science for 8 years to take this party from opposition into power. Because I remember in those quiet moments when the MPP was laughing at him and calling him a failure because he had lost 2004 was contentious. But instead of moving us onto the streets in 2004, that's when he said he will never become president on the drop of anybody's blood. And that if Kufuor says he's won the election, let him have it. Or if it is God's will, Ghanaians will give me the presidency in 4 years' time. Very prophetic.
He said that in 2004.
In 2004. This was at Koku Hill and on other platforms. But I remember Koku Hill 1. He had to convince, because some of us wanted him to convince us as to why he will not hit the streets. And he said, no way. If I hit the streets, you people will die. Koku, I need you for the next election. I'm not going to kill you. Stay alive and let's win this election in 2008. That was what gingered us into that 2008 election. Because this man was just leading us with conviction. But
were you in support of the choice of John Mahama as a running mate? I know that was quite divided as well.
He called me. President Mills called me before he took the decision. I know some of the party bigwigs wanted Alhaji Mohamed Mumunu to be maintained.
Well, Mills himself wanted Mohamed Mumunu, didn't he say that?
Well, so when he called me one morning, and the number of times he called me, look, the respect. So, because like you said,
so when he
called me.
What did he say?
He actually called me and said, Koku, I am going to take a decision. Now, this decision, anyway, so he's taking a decision, and John Mahama is going to be his running mate. And his words were, Koku, please accept my choice and let's work.
He suspected you won't accept it.
I don't know.
Who was your choice?
I didn't have a choice.
Well, there was Betty Modidrisu. There was John Mahama.
Certainly not Betty.
There was John Mahama. There was Mohamed Mumuni.
So Mumuni, when I was with the UNHCR, he was employment minister. The first time I encountered him was at some public forum at this hotel, Novotel. I fell in love with his English.
Oh yeah, he speaks very well. Mohamed Mumuni speaks very well, yeah.
Sweet English.
Sakarian.
Yeah. As a student of the language, when I see people who speak the language, I admire. So when he was made running mate in 2004, I was excited.
So you were hoping that will continue?
I mean, what could you...
So you were supporting John Mahama because Professor Mills said this is my choice?
That is the boss.
Okay, I get it.
And besides, honestly, I had nothing against John Mahama. I didn't know him at close range. He was not one of the people that I was close to. So what will I have against him? I remember.
That's surprising because many of us, well, younger than you, we all coalesce around John Mahama. Anybody of my age, media who was thinking NDC, we all coalesce around John Mahama.
Yeah, but that is the strength of the media, because he was
a media creation.
He's a media person. He used to hobble up with the coffee shop group.
I mean, he would sit in his office at communication, and I'll be there. Commander Duma will come there. Stand up.
So that's it. And so let's say that his candidature won.
He was a media favorite. There's no doubt about it.
And for me, what I did for his outdooring was ample testimony to the fact that once he had been chosen.
What happened at that place? I don't know whether it's a better question for Elvis. We all showed up there as journalists to hear Professor Mills' running mate. Mills didn't come. He sent Elvis with a piece of paper to announce that John Mahama has been chosen as the running mate.
Well, there was something that took the Kama Conference Center.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mills didn't come. You didn't come too. So what was it about? Rollins came. What was that? What was the story behind that?
Well, the story behind it is that President Mills had taken the decision. The National Executive Committee had taken the decision. But obviously the founder still had issues. And so ways had to be found to announce the choice of the running mates. once the party
had sat down.
To accept it. And so the political antics took place, and the running mate was mentioned, and the founder had no option but
Okay,
to
so
accept
let's
it.
come now to Asumdue Park. Mills dies. He's buried at Asumdue Park. Beautifully created. I don't know whether it was Faustina Nelson who chaired the committee or Totobi Kwachi who chaired the committee, but the Mills Funeral Committee seemed to have done an excellent job. The funeral was super pristine. American Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was in attendance. Martin Newman spoke so well. It was a great event. John Mahama, the president, also spoke. Asumdue Park looked beautiful. When did you discover that it's deteriorating?
You know, when President Mills died so talking about me and